Art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation, proceeding from the heat oppressed brain? Thus spake Macbeth, our devil of the day. Actually, it is quite difficult to pinpoint exactly which side he belongs to, good or evil. Could he be the devil of the day or the angel of the night? Among the characters of Shakespeare, Macbeth is one of the most complex and dynamic. Today we'll be diving into the depths of this man's oppressed brain, to use his own words. Before that, let's get to know what the play is essentially about. Macbeth, a well-respected and honored warrior, is prophesied by the witch sisters, known in general terms as the tricksters, to be the king in the future. He initially refuses to believe it and remains glued to his conscience. But after his wife, the ever-persuasive Lady Macbeth, talks his husband into the prophecy, Macbeth thus begins his moral fight. The battle between good and evil. Sometimes I wonder why it's always been that way. Why it's not the battle between good and greater good, or between evil and greater evil.
Anyway, is this a dagger which I see before me? Yes, it is a dagger, Macbeth. Do not be blind. Macbeth thus comes to grips. He draws his dagger and proceeds to kill King Duncan in his sleep. Hear it not, Duncan, for it is a knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell. After the murder, Macbeth then is haunted by the ghost of his own deed. This brief retelling speaks something of the character of Macbeth. Throughout the story, we can actually see his development from one noble warrior to one satanically influenced by number 1, greed, number 2, ambition, and number 3, violence. There we have it, the trinity of themes tantamount to the tragedy of Macbeth. Number 1. Greed. A number of occurrences in the tragedy portrays Macbeth as one overcome by greed. Wanna know who's behind all this? His wife, Lady Macbeth. In Jungian terms, Lady Macbeth is the seducer, an archetype that lures one to commit a deed or achieve an ambition. We can see this in Act 1, Scene 5, but going back before the murder, Macbeth says in Act 1, Scene 4, "Stars, hide your fires, let not light see my black and deep desires." In other words, to quote Sonnet 129 by Shakespeare, Macbeth is now mad in pursuit and in possession so, having and in quest to have extreme, a bliss and proved a very woe before the joy proposed behind a dream. Little does he know that his greed paves the way to his own destruction. The notion of greed leads us to one of the historical figures, Marcus Crassus, the richest man in Rome, a successful military general whose wealth none in ancient times may have equaled. But eventually he was defeated, captured, tortured, and executed by the Persians in the 1st century BC. So much for your victory, loser. Above all, it is so astonishing a parallel that we can witness the similarity between the fictional Macbeth and the historical Crassus. Towards the end, the momentous fall of Macbeth is seen as Macduff kills and beheads him. You see, greed is the devil with many faces. Power, wealth, and influence are some of the faces the devil puts on, attracting the lights of Macbeth to the pits of doom. It is interesting to see how greed can transform even a saint into a Satan, even the godly into the godless, and even Macbeth the good into Macbeth the evil. No, rather Macbeth the greedy idiot who answers to the whispers of his desire. Gosh, what a mouthful. Such is the fate of one possessed of ambition.
Moving on, we have ambition. Macbeth is proof that unchecked ambition could lead to a tragic downfall. His ambition was triggered by prophetic words from the witches, turning his dream into an unhealthy obsession for power with a mix of paranoia. Banquo was also present when the witches met the prophecy and even had ambitions for his son that led them Macbeth would try to murder, but controlled himself. Unlike Banquo, his morals were not strong enough to stop him from committing violent acts such as the murder of King Duncan in the play. When Macbeth showed signs of hesitation and faltered for a moment, his partner would enter the scene to save, or more like, worsen the day. His accomplice, Lady Macbeth, added fuel to the fire by saying, "Thou wouldst be great, art not without ambition, but without the illness should attend it," in Act 1, Scene 5. Although Lady Macbeth was equally ambitious, but it cannot be denied that the main force in Macbeth's tragedy is none other than his own ambition. Indeed, we find similarities in the realm of reality. Behold Julius Caesar, a true embodiment of ambition's allure. With hunger for power, he rises to become the unrivaled dictator of Rome, even plotting against his own king. Similarly, Macbeth surrenders to the siren call of greed, eliminating King Duncan to seize the throne. Yet, both men meet their fates. Julius, due to his overconfidence, falls victim to his own tragic flaw and is assassinated, while Macbeth's tyrannical reign leads to his ultimate demise. To reflect upon this revelation, both real and fictional figures unveil the consequences that befall those consumed by ambition. Macbeth showed us that the path of boundless ambition can transform dreams into nightmares, shattering even the mightiest of souls. Before we proceed with the next theme, which is violence, hold tight, for we will now embark on a journey into the heart of violence. Fun fact, the word blood was repeated 42 times in the play, so how much more evidence do you need to see the violence in Macbeth? One of the examples of violence present in the play is the murder of King Duncan. After meeting the witches and becoming greedy for power, he confesses to killing the king in Act 2, Scene 2. "I have done the deed. Didst thou not hear a noise?" Lady Macbeth, on the other hand, proclaims, "A little water clears us of this deed," becoming Macbeth's true partner in crime by helping him to cover up the murder. They say birds of a feather flock together. Well, they must have been really compatible with one another then. But wait, the tale of violence unfolds further. Banquo, a witness to the witch's prophecy, becomes a thorn in Macbeth's side. "So he is mine, and in such bloody distance that every minute of his being thrust against my years of life," Macbeth declares in Act 3, Scene 1. Thus, Banquo meets a gruesome end, now continuing his role as a ghost, ooh, that will haunt Macbeth. But it doesn't stop there. Macduff's family also falls victim to Macbeth's vile acts. However, the madness ends when Macduff rises and strikes the final blow, putting a stop to Macbeth's tyrannical reign by killing him. Macbeth's world is basically a repeating world of violence. It will have blood, they say. Blood will have blood in Act 3, Scene 4. This showed us that an act of violence will continue with another act of violence, leaving people trapped in a cycle that is hard to leave. Even though Macbeth's killing acts were stopped, how was he stopped? Bingo! It was through a blood path as well.
Now, can there still be any doubt of whether or not Macbeth is a devil by heart or a fallen angel, consumed by the treacherous path of greed, ambition, and violence? Something to ponder about. At least we have an answer to the ending of Macbeth's moral fight. He lost.
You lost.
Overall, Macbeth serves as a powerful reminder of what greed, ambition, and violence can do to you. The importance of moral choices is also present here, along with the destructive consequences of violence and tyranny. It's undeniable that Macbeth is a great character to be discussed about if we are talking about the ever so changing traits of a human being from positive to the negative side, which is not really a pleasant thing. In simpler words, Macbeth is not a good example for your future children to look up to. So is Lady Macbeth.